Have you ever noticed how a single sentence can either build a future or bury a dream? Not in some distant spiritual sense, but in the immediate now, where your words press against reality like fingerprints in soft clay. You speak, and something listens. You declare, and something rearranges. But most don't speak, they echo. They recycle fears, doubts, and memories. Words that should shape destiny instead repeat history. And so life stays still, not because it must, but because the voice commanding it does not know its own power. There is a place deep within the human being where sound becomes creation, where language is not used to describe life, but to write it. This is where prophets spoke, where mystics whispered into the winds, where ancient sages understood that to speak rightly is not to ask, it is to align, not to beg, but to bring forth, not to hope, but to declare. In that space, the tongue becomes the wand, and silence listens like an obedient servant. It waits for clarity, and clarity only comes when the one who speaks knows that speaking is not hoping, it is delivering. So the question is not whether words have power. The question is, are you speaking as one who knows or as one who wishes? Because there is a difference, and that difference is the line between a life that responds to you and one that resists you. Once you speak with authority, true, aligned, embodied authority, the delay dissolves, resistance fades, and what once seemed far becomes near. Creation begins not in the sky, but in the system of your own being. What you say repeatedly, you become. And the more often you speak from a place of knowing, the faster the body learns to follow the voice. Your biology listens. It doesn't ask whether the words are true in the world. It only asks whether they're true in you. When you speak like it is done, again and again, something remarkable happens. The nervous system reorganizes itself around that truth. The language of certainty rewires the subconscious, and the body begins to walk in rhythm with the voice. You are no longer convincing yourself, you are calibrating yourself. Just as water carves stone, not through force but through persistence, your voice carves reality through repetition. Speak with clarity, with conviction, with the feeling of finality, and over time the line between saying and becoming begins to vanish. The mind thinks it's in charge, but it is the body that makes belief feel real, and the body only trusts what it hears enough to remember. Once your speech is consistent, not just in public moments but in private thoughts, the body starts to act as if what you're saying has already happened. That's when speech turns to embodiment. Think of the way a child learns to walk or ride a bicycle. At first it's awkward. Then, with repetition, it becomes smooth. Eventually it becomes unconscious. The same is true for speech. At first, speaking with power and clarity might feel unnatural, like trying on someone else's clothes. But stay with it. Speak deliberately. Speak often. Speak as if the body already knows how to respond. Because it will. And when the body joins the mind in certainty, manifestation isn't effort, it's automatic. This is where many get stuck. They speak once or twice, and when they don't see immediate results, they return to old language patterns, patterns of doubt, fear, waiting. But transformation doesn't come to the one who dips their toe in the waters of creation. It comes to the one who fully immerses, who repeats the truth until it becomes cellular, who speaks until the body stops questioning and starts executing. Repetition, emotion, belief. This is the formula. Not just saying it once, saying it until no other reality feels more natural. When speech becomes second nature, creation becomes second nature. You don't just hope you'll succeed. You carry the resonance of success in your voice. You don't just say, "I am healed." You walk as one who already is. And in that moment, the gap between desire and reality collapses. Once you speak like this, and do it consistently enough for the body to recognize it as truth, it is done. Not in the distant future, but in the present frequency where you now stand. Once the body starts echoing your words, a deeper layer reveals itself. The truth that every word you speak is a mirror of what you assume to be true. It may not seem obvious, but listen closely to the things people say. not in moments of performance, but in their casual, unconscious speech. You'll hear the story they believe about their life. I'm not lucky. Nothing ever works out for me. People like me don't win. These aren't random phrases. They're confessions of identity. Every sentence carries an assumption, and assumptions, when repeated, harden into facts, not because they are objectively true, but because speech gives them form. This is where the law of assumption lives, not in a mystical chant or forced positivity, but in your everyday language. When you say something over and over, you reveal your baseline expectation of life. Your tone tells the universe whether you're speaking from lack or from fullness. When you say, "I always bounce back," that's not just encouragement, it's a decree. The assumption beneath it is that life supports you. But if you say, "I can't catch a break," the assumption is that life works against you, and your words are the loudest clues. You don't need to analyze your beliefs, just observe your phrases. They'll show you everything. So when you begin to speak, as if it is done, you're not just using language to shape your outer life. You're rewiring the inner narrative. You're shifting the assumptions your mind holds to be self-evident. And because the subconscious doesn't judge, it only obeys, your new assumptions, once spoken with enough consistency and emotional weight, begin to reflect back as circumstances. The universe is not asking you what you want. It's responding to what you keep saying. Speak defeat, and life will oblige. Speak fulfillment, and it must reconfigure to match. This is why casual speech is never really casual. The universe doesn't respond to jokes, disclaimers, or just kidding tones. It responds to frequency, to assumption, to energy. So the one who learns to assume with precision and speak from that assumption without contradiction begins to collapse timelines. Outcomes that once seemed distant begin to move quickly, and life, no longer confused by mixed signals, begins to obey the voice that knows what it's calling forth. Once you begin to shift your assumptions and speak from conviction, a subtle trap appears, the lingering habit of complaint. It often disguises itself as honesty, as venting, as just being real. But complaints, like affirmations, are declarations. They announce what you believe about life. They confirm what you expect to continue. If your words are truly shaping your world, then complaints are not harmless. They are creative commands written in the language of lack. And when you speak them repeatedly, you bind yourself to the very reality you're trying to escape. A complaint is not neutral. It is a spell of reinforcement. Every time you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," you're not just expressing frustration. You're instructing your subconscious to keep creating that cycle. You're anchoring that belief deeper. Even if you want something new, your voice keeps pledging allegiance to the old. And because your body remembers what you speak, complaint becomes a ritual of stagnation. It ties your nervous system to powerlessness and keeps your energy rehearsing defeat. Speaking like it is done requires the courage to let go of that pattern, even when it feels familiar. Consider how much energy is spent repeating the problems of yesterday. Whole conversations revolve around what's not working. But what you repeat, you reinforce. And what you reinforce, you relive. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where you place your creative power. You can describe your life, or you can design it, but not both at once. Complaining might feel momentarily relieving, but it costs clarity, and clarity is the soil where real creation grows. Once you start speaking like it is done, you no longer waste words feeding what you wish to leave behind. This is why speaking with authority means more than just affirming what you want. It also means refusing to breathe life into what you no longer choose. Every complaint is a seed you didn't mean to plant. Pull it out. Replace it with truth. Speak not what frustrates you. Speak what frees you. Once your language no longer dances with despair, but declares with direction, life begins to respond in kind. Speak like it is done, and the echoes of complaint will no longer hold you captive. Once you've stopped feeding your future with the residue of complaint, a deeper truth comes into view. Sound is not just communication, it is creation. Ancient civilizations understood this long before modern science confirmed it. Words were treated as sacred instruments, not because of their poetry, but because of their frequency. Sound is vibration, and vibration is energy in motion. Every time you speak, you release a frequency into the field. That frequency does not disappear, it organizes, it informs, it attracts. To speak like it is done means to consciously engage with sound as a tool of manifestation, not as noise to fill silence. Imagine each word as a tuning fork. When struck with clarity and intention, it reshapes the atmosphere around you. Say "I am loved" with shallow doubt, and the vibration scatters. Say it with the rooted resonance of someone who knows it, and reality bends to meet you. This is not mystical thinking, it is energetic law. Just as music can soothe the body or stir the soul, your words carry a signature that either aligns you with your desired state or fractures your energy into contradiction. The voice is not symbolic of your power, it is your power in action. To use sound as sacred technology, you must slow down and become intentional. No rushed affirmations, no hollow declarations. Feel the weight of what you say. Let the vibration move through your chest, not just your lips. Speak not to fill space, but to fill form. When you speak like it is done, sound becomes structure, frequency becomes architecture, and the universe, always listening, begins to construct what you have already completed in your inner world. When sound becomes intentional, when your words vibrate with alignment, the final shift arrives. Your life begins to echo your voice. You no longer speak to become. You speak because you are. The words are not reaching out in hope. They are grounding what's already true in your inner world. This is the essence of speaking like it is done. You no longer wait for the evidence before claiming the identity. You claim the identity, and the evidence arrives in response. The voice leads, and life follows. At this level, your speech is no longer an effort to convince yourself. It is an overflow. The mind doesn't need persuading. The body doesn't need reminding. You have rehearsed it, refined it, and repeated it until your system carries the truth without resistance. Now speaking isn't a practice, it's a reflection, and this reflection shines into every part of your day. How you walk, how you work, how you respond, how you receive. The spoken word becomes a vibration that matches your very presence, and when word and being become one, creation becomes effortless. This is where most fall short. They speak it, but do not be it. They declare abundance while shrinking from opportunity. They affirm love while doubting their worthiness. But speech without embodiment is noise, it's empty ritual. True manifestation is never built on words alone, it is built on coherence. And coherence means your voice, your actions, your energy, your assumptions, and your emotions all point in the same direction. It is not enough to speak powerfully. You must live as if what you spoke is now your baseline reality. To speak like it is done is not a performance. It is a permission slip. A permission slip to become what you were always meant to remember. You don't chase outcomes. You don't plead with the universe. You don't narrate what's missing. You walk as one who carries completion. And from that place, your speech no longer reaches for change. It anchors it. It seals it. It declares what already exists in the unseen and calls it into the seen. Speak it, then be it. And once you are being it fully, there is nothing left to wait for. You weren't born to speak like a stranger in your own life. You were born to speak like the architect of it. Every word you release is heard by a universe that mirrors your level of certainty. When your voice stops wavering and starts declaring, reality stops hesitating and starts shifting. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are waiting to speak with the clarity that changes it. Each sentence you speak sets a frequency in motion. Speak with doubt, and life reflects confusion. Speak with completion, and life organizes around fulfillment. The moment you stop describing what is and start declaring what is done, everything responds, not because the words are magic, but because they are evidence of who you've become. And when who you've become matches what you speak, it is done, not later, now.